Welcome, REDX community, podcast followers, show fans, everybody out there watching this on social, customers. I'm your host, Justin Zimmerman, for another edition of Stability and Opportunity podcast, where we're reaching into the market, asking top experts, coaches, agents who are busy and productive what they're doing to stay positive and productive during these times. And we have another amazing guest, Alex Haigh from, I think I got that wrong again. I asked you in the beginning for it. And I'll let him explain his last name.
You didn't completely butcher it. You just mildly butchered it.
Mild, yeah. I want to give it some sort of like Flemish rolling back of the throat type, Holland.
Yeah, Scottish. It's a bro.
Hey, hey, we'll let do the pronunciation show for themselves. So just want to give some housekeeping, some, let's say, ideas for our customers who are watching this right now. We have a ton of people who are calling in pretty much every single day for the script that we're going to be putting together, the script ebook, the script video. So just want everybody who's waiting for that to hold out a little bit longer. We're going to be getting to that at the end of the week. Just make sure you check your email inbox if you're signed up for the Corona, for the Stability and Opportunity podcast content. If you're on that list, we're going to email that to you. If you're not, you can go to theredx.com/blog. Wait for the pop-up. If you put your information in there, we'll email that to you when it's ready. Also, if you're a new customer, make sure you get on the orientation webinar. There's a link inside of your welcome email. Bryson, he's going to thank me later for mentioning that. It's hard to take advantage of all the things we talk about and do if you're not set up and ready to go with some sort of platform. Obviously, you're a customer and you chose REDX, and so go in there, get your training, get ready, get into action, because we're going to talk about things that are working right now. You're going to want to get out there, regardless of where you are and what market you're in or what state you're in. There are things that you can do and say now, and that's why we brought Alex out here right now. And so if you need accountability, if you need structure, routine, if you need scripts, if you need to know the market conditions and how to take advantage of them to your ethical advantage, this is the place where you can come and get that information to know what to spend your money on, what to spend your time on, because who knows what the future holds. And so, Alex, welcome to the show. Thank you for jumping into this and spending some time with us today.
Hey, thank you very much for having me. I feel blessed to be here.
Great. So I like to start the show off with some positivity. We talked about a quote at the beginning, something meaningful to you that represents your mindset and view. And that way, if you could share that with the audience, that'd be a great first way to get us to what today's going to be about.
Yeah, you hit me with that. That was right on the spot. I didn't have time to think about it. And I just said, quotes can be a little cliche, but I would say, ultimately, it's like ask not what your clients can do for you, i.e., buy a house from you, list a house from you. Ask what you can do for them. And right now, people, I think, especially are just looking for care. And so, really, just the other day, I had a conversation with somebody, and literally, the guy just had to let go 100 people from his business, and didn't have anything to do with selling him a house. Just has to do with, hey, he was like, man, I really just appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. So, that means a lot. And that guy was like, hey, man, if I ever buy a house, which I will in the future, I'm going to come back from this. He's like, I just really appreciate your time. So,
yeah, that's, I'm glad you say that, because everybody's looking at it differently, but from different words, same view. Everybody who's come on here has said something about being of service, give, kind of Gary V's, jab, left hook. Like, don't look into the future. I was actually listening to some Gary V live stuff. His new Tea Time has been really great. He's just spending like 2 hours online, giving all his information away, kind of like what we're doing right now, but for the real estate version. I feel like that's, not trying to copy him or coincide more than anything. And, the mindset is typically where I think agents get fumbled or tripped up. And so many of us have been focused on the sales aspect of things that we have never learned or trained to also focus on the sphere aspect of things, the giving aspect of things. And this is a challenging time where the sales aren't necessarily as abundant or as close to, let's say, low-hanging ability that they used to be. And what you've just said, I think, is another great place to start, which is the mindset. So tell us a little bit about you and your business and the mindset that you had prior to where we are and how you've adapted and adopted it in today's market.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I would say, ultimately, I I got into the business before I had gray hair, and I would definitely say that the business has brought on a little bit of gray hair. But I've been in it for 17 years. So, and the only reason I say that is that I want to have a frame of reference here that I went through the last crash. And I'm not saying we're going to crash or anything. It's a whole different conversation. But we've really been in 9 years of expansion in real estate, and it's been very transactional. I just do believe the people that have brought value have done better than others that are just in transaction mode. But it has definitely, and I've seen this, and I have 4 buyers agents that work on my team. I'm mostly a listing agent, and I do still work with buyers. And I think that it's kind of been when you're in a seller's market and you're working with buyers and you have buyers, it can be a little bit easier. It's very, very transactional. And if you can open a door type thing. It wasn't quite in 2008 where if you had a pulse, you could buy a house, but it's been really great, and a little bit of a false sense of understanding of where things are at. When I went through 2008, it got difficult, and I ended up doing short sales that no one else wanted to do that. It was like, wow, that's really hard. I just contracts and get checks. It's like,
you got to do something different. You got to adapt to it. I think that's when Gary Keller's book Shift first came out. I think that was like the first time for most agents that the market changed in such a radical way that if you didn't shift, which is why he wrote that book, there would be nothing left for you to do. And I think maybe that's, Shift to the sequel right now, I think maybe is the book that's being written. And just want to point out to the audience that this is a participatory event. And so I just want to welcome Amanda, Kurt, Mary, Robert, and some of the other returning fans, viewers, audiences. And so if you guys have questions throughout this, y'all know we're here to help support you and get into Alex's mind and address some of those questions. So just wanted to put that out there first and foremost. Tell us about the lead types that you are working right now.
We work a lot of PPC, and I was with Zillow for a very, very long time, and did really great with them. That's a different kind of animal in the price that it's gotten to. So we do a lot of PPC. We do for sale by owners. Expireds is a division of my group that does for sale by owners and expireds. We're actually starting to delve more into that in a lot of different ways, and REDX has been helping us with that. No plug needed there. And so also I pretty much farm mostly into my sphere. I have 20,000 something original internet leads in there, but I also have sold in the 17 years, a little over 2,000 homes. So I continue to farm into the sphere and really impart upon the agents to do that as well. So you really want to kind of a mix and match. Ultimately for me, the sphere is where I can make the least amount of calls, get the most amount of pickups, and have the best conversations.
You mentioned in some conversations before we started that you have done about 105 transactions last year. So just to give the audience some firm understanding of what percentage of those transactions came from what type of leads, and then maybe if we could play a game after that and talk about, let's look at what this year could look like.
Yeah, last year was from online leads, actually was about 35%, 40%. Sphere was about 40, and then for sale by owners in that open houses was about another 20%, if that adds up to 100, pretty close to.
So open houses, huh? Tell us about that. How did you drive traffic? A lot of people, it's hit or miss with open houses.
Yeah, I mean, we have some strategies around social media that really drive people to them. And, especially down here where we are in Florida, it's kind of a retirement community. So people still do drive around and just look for signs for open houses. We found that we get, pretty good opportunities come from that. So, it's been I think we did 15 or so deals from open houses last year. So,
one thing I'd like to highlight is I think you get to a level such as where you're at, where like the basics just become so routine, you don't even think through them. This is what works. This is what we're doing. You get into automatic mode. And if we could spend a little time right now kind of slowing that down for really 2 reasons. One, a lot of agents don't have that level of experience, and they're looking for kind of a step-by-step tactical breakdown of how something's done. And then the other reason why I think it's important we do that is for us to look for the nuances on what we can adjust and change to this market. And so unless we slow it down, we don't know exactly what to modify for the audience today. And so if you could walk us through, because I know open houses are huge for you. Let's talk about, how do you even pick an open house? How do you advertise an open house? How do you lead capture an open house? What don't you do and what should you do? And then we'll take the conversation after that.
First and foremost, you definitely want to, I don't believe in it for just regular advertising, but the newspaper actually is good. Zillow, homes.com, realtor.com, it needs to go into all of those. You don't necessarily have to put it in the newspaper, but it definitely has to go into realtor.com, homes.com, Zillow, Julia, as many of those sites, because those are really, to the Gary V point that you made, that's the medium that people are looking into, and it triggers on those that those open houses are happening. So it's a great source for viewership.
So listing in there as an open house. It's just kind of an advertise your open house on all those places. Yeah,
I mean that's a no-brainer. A lot of the times when you put it into MLS as an open house, it then will syndicate in, but you have to do it as far ahead of time. We usually put it in Tuesday, Wednesday, so that it catches for Thursday, Friday. You can't just expect to put it in Friday and it syndicates for Sunday.
That's a great tip.
Yeah, so just kind of a little bit ahead of time. And that's a simple thing where you're going to get, you don't have to go and spend the $70 to put it in the newspaper. We do that again because that's down here in Florida. The older population still does read the newspaper. Yeah, so, that's a great source for, hey, don't have to spend a lot of money. Then, literally, I know this may sound cheesy, but pepper the neighborhood. Depending on your area, code enforcement does, for some areas like Port St. Lucie, for us, you can't put out open house signs. Martin County, where I am here, you can. We still cover St. Lucie County, but we just don't put signs out up there. But just pepper it. Make it so that just an absolute idiot could get there. And what that also does too is that it's a mindset that, oh, these people are selling houses. So it's also, we would get listings from, we don't get somebody that walks in and says, hey, come list my house. So back to your point, whoever comes through the door, we train the agents to, hey, go through a process of, hey, what are you doing? Ask them a lot of questions. Yeah. Be engaging, be of service. How can I help you? What are you all about? Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Get those people talking about themselves and build rapport as quickly as you can, and get that information and then follow up.
You just put out a lot there. I love it. I love diving into this stuff. This is so much fun. So the first part you said was, okay, pick a house, preferably let me ask you this. What conditions, if you only have one listing, I guess that's the only listing to do an open house on. And I'm going to address some of the audience's thoughts right now because I'm seeing some of the chats as well. I'm in a lockdown area, right? I can't do open houses. We're going to get to that. Stick with us. We're setting it up right now so you understand the basics of an open house under normal circumstances, and then we're going to break it down into the modifications for today's environment. So just hold tight. Dan, I see your question. Just chill out. And so,
hey, you could do Facebook Live open house. We have there's some great stuff online. Yeah. Just to not to cut in on you there, like, hey, where there's a will, there's a way, and just even getting someone's attention. Back to the Gary V thing. Attention takes time. You don't just get someone that you call them on the phone, like with a REDX, and you circle prospect, and you call somebody, they go, yeah, I've been waiting for somebody to call me to come list my house. Just doesn't happen that way. So developing your skills as far as the conversations you're having, and then saying, hey, I'm having open house over here. You can do that on Facebook Live. There's really affordable ways to do it for you new agents out there that even if you don't have one listing, I have agents come to me and say, hey, I don't have any listings. Yeah, come on, like do an open house at my house. Like, hey, you got to go through this process.
Yeah,
which helps them with the training too. But there's lots of opportunity out there. Right now, it's a little odd. This is wacky world.
We're getting a little ahead because I still want to focus on the primary ways to do an open house and then the adaptations. While we're talking about the adaptations, has your MLS created a field inside it to post links to have open houses virtual? Because I've heard some MLSs have been reactive enough to actually put a link in there. That way. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I forget which one of the other guests, I forget which MLS was, but they were like, yeah, virtual open house link. You could put a Zoom link in it. So if you schedule it, then all the other brokers, and actually that person, again, I'm getting ahead of us here, was rounding up, showing agents and having them all meet on that Zoom, and then having their buyers meet on that link as well with some sort of anonymity. So that way, yeah, it's pretty cool. But we'll get into that adaptation in a little bit. I just was wondering if your MLS has yet to add that feature. Well, I would. Everybody, go tell your MLS to add that line or that field in there right now.
They'll love you.
Yeah, we're hearing that out there right now. But traditional ways to do an open house. Obviously, you got to find a house worth doing an open house for. So let's first talk about that. Starting with what open house and why. What makes a property attractive, even be worth your time to do that for?
Accessibility, the showability, and when I say showability, I mean, is it going to show well? I mean, you certainly don't want to do a house that looks like kind of Sanford and Son on the inside. You know, like you want something that looks like it's staged. People that have, you know, that it's a pleasing to the eye, senses, smell. You don't want the industrial park in the background, so stuff like that. I think that pricing is pretty critical as well. I always say, I mean, doing open houses in communities that have gates, definitely going to be tougher. And I would say for us, the best that we've had are FHA and VA within the parameters for those. For our county here, that's $375,000 and under. So.
Help bring me up to speed, and maybe some of the audience who hasn't kept up with FHA regulations and limits. And is that something? Talk
to your lender. Yeah. So you're going to in certain counties, like in California, FHA is going to have a much higher threshold. So you're going to talk to your lender and say, hey, what is the threshold up to for our county here for the lending? And that's
Googling FHA and limits per county. I think that's maybe the best way to go about it.
Yep, sure.
So if I understand you correctly, really the best approach is what is the nicest house that's the most accessible, that's going to attract the most number of people. Kind of pretty simple 3 things to help pick an open house. Mm-hmm. Then the next step, I would say, is then driving traffic and awareness to it once you've picked it. And you've already mentioned those other places that you can go post those things on. Is there anywhere else or any other tools or services that you use? Some of our agents use our GeoLead tool to like drop a pin and basically circle prospect. I know we got some questions in here about circle prospecting. Dan, once again, asking that question. And, circle prospect to drive awareness to an open house. Do you do anything like that?
We don't. But the next level to that is I have some very good friends that are with another brokerage that I stay in really good touch with that actually door knock and talk about their open house coming up. They don't do it now because people don't want to answer their door. But I mean, that will come back, hopefully.
Okay, great. Anything else on the driving awareness and traffic to an open house that is worth talking about that you do that might be unique?
We say to everybody, make sure you do a Facebook Live. It is, and people are going to figure out, well, I don't want to do it. I don't look. That's just get comfortable with being uncomfortable. All in all, you're going to get just great free viewership from that, and it's going to start to video. We can get into propinquity and all that. That's why you guys are doing this. The propinquity that's why Google bought YouTube, because people want to see the pantomimes in someone's face. So you just doing a video of Facebook Live of being in that house, they associate you and your face. They remember it more than a regular post of an open house, and they're going to associate you with real estate. So it's a subconscious thing. It may not sell the house, but it's going to be great traction for you that you're the person out there that's doing that, because a lot of people won't do it. So if you're willing to do the other things that other people won't do, you're going to get better results in the long run.
Would you use that open house Facebook Live at the open house or as a way to drive traffic, like almost a commercial, doing an open house tomorrow, everyone, here's the house right there. And what are some of the...
I would do both. As much as you can do, we don't really do the pre, we do the at. And some people might be driving around that day. I think if you do something beforehand, like on Friday, they're probably not going to remember that. People just, they've got a billion things bombarding them. But that day, and again, you might only drive one or two people, which is great. But it's the I'm really into this, like the subconscious stuff. That's what sales is about. You could drive by McDonald's 100 times. You're not going to pull in, but you certainly subconsciously, that way they have it on US1 on every town, so it just keeps getting embedded, and that's you as a real estate agent. So,
all right. So let's talk about adaptations. Well, actually, before then, you did mention follow-up is one of the most important parts to an open house. I mean, you're going to tell these people, let's talk about getting business from that process, because we're going to talk about that also under the adaptation model. I imagine the business part of it's going to come much later than normal because of time frames. But again, principles don't change. Right. Tell us about your follow-up system or lead capture system or registration system or approach at an open house to know how to get their contact information, and what do you say and do afterwards?
Well, we were using Sync last year, so there was a great open house app for that. We've moved on to Follow Up Boston Wailopo. But, even just a regular, you can get an open house sheet from whatever company you're with and put your logo on it and at least get the name and number. Just say, hey, I would just like to follow up with you. And that has to be like right away. So in order for you to have follow-up after, you don't want to catch them after they leave, as they're going out the door. Could you please, just have it right there in front of them. You should have some cookies and stuff. And there's an agent here in the area that just is a master at it. And I've been over to a couple of hers, and she just points them right to that. She meets them, smile. Could you please sign in? And, that gives you the information. So the follow-up after is that, it's just so critical. And that's what you guys are all about, your understanding of getting numbers. It's not about calling that a bunch of people and one of them says, yeah, come over and list my house. My dad was in real estate for decades. And even before I got in, he's like, the money's made in the follow-up. And that's, hey, you came to my open house. Call them on Monday or Tuesday. You came to my open house. I really just want to say thank you. Really appreciate you making it out. I just wanted to get any feedback that you might have on the house. And then just start building some rapport from there. You hopefully have a CRM, guys out there. If there's a million CRMs, you get into that. People say, which one should you use? Use the one that you use. And there's tons of them that you don't really have to pay a lot of money for if you're tight on money. But you definitely you have to have a CRM. I made a lot of money off of, and I still use notepads and go through those. I like the written word, and I redo them each week. But I have a CRM and a dialer in it and all that. So I really train the agents like, look, if you're going to take all the time and you're going to do a Saturday, make sure that you put those people in and then follow up with them with those questions. That's so critical.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of people don't know this, but maybe our customers do. And I don't even know if our customers know this so well, is that our Vortex platform, which is essentially a CRM, I know our chief executive officer doesn't really like us calling it a CRM because it's not fully a CRM, but the way people look at it, it essentially helps you manage your contacts. It's actually free when I think you're a customer. And so if people don't know this, that you buy leads with us and you get a free CRM. But more important than that is that concept of follow-up that you just mentioned. What percentage of your business would you say comes from the follow-up?
So I guess the flip side of that question is how many people call me, I go over and we write a contract on that house. Mm-hmm. That's probably, it's in the 1 to 2% ratio, mm-hmm. if that. So, I mean, I think last year I sold a house. That's one of my favorite stories. In a lot of different ways, it's a favorite story. And I don't like to tell our real estate stories, but I sold a house for $3.7 million. And I followed up with the guy for 5 years. Dropped the mic. I mean, so people say, money is money made in the follow up. It's like, yeah.
Where else is it made?
Yeah. I mean, that's where, well, it's made in the follow up with the skills. So the more that you know someone, the less you are going to have to get through the rapport stuff. So that's why, circle prospecting, there may not be anybody calling into them, but, you're creating relationships from somebody who just doesn't know who you are. The FSBO's expireds is a different story too, but that's why so much more money. And that's, Gary Keller, God bless him. I do take lessons from all of them out there. I used to be with Keller Williams, but like, it's just so true that you can get 10% of your deals from your database if you touch your database properly in different ways and continue to add value to them. Hey, here's a market report, and send them a video and call and a text. All these different ways. You touch them 32 times in 1 year, you should be able to pull 10% from that database if your skills are good. It's not just calling them saying, hey, do you want to list or sell, list or buy? It's good quality is there too, but those people know you. So you just have got so much more know, like, and trust there.
Yeah, I think if we kind of jump into the next part of today's episode, which is adapting, we found open houses as a vehicle that's traditionally worked. I think there's a lot of agents out there, especially in our chat log right now, who are saying, okay, well, how do I make it work in today's model? Let's jump into that, because again, we have the pick the right house. That's going to be the most attractive to the most number of people. Market, advertise, bring awareness to it. And then the third pillar that you mentioned was, okay, now that you've got the attention and people actually opting in to receive information from you, whether it's on an email or in person on a sign-in sheet, then the money is made all in the follow-up. And I think you gave us a great script as a post-host to an open house follow-up sequence. Now let's go virtual, right? The only place we can go really with this. And so tell us what you're doing right now, these open houses, and the marketing and systems and tools that you've seen are working for you and others.
Well, we haven't done any open houses since this whole thing has really started. It's just the agents don't want to do it. I have a team that I'm associated with up in Port St. Lucie that has been doing virtual open houses. So he might be your next guest.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I still do a lot of video. So I don't know if you want to go into that, but I'm definitely not the guy to talk to about the Zoom open house stuff. We haven't quite mastered that yet.
Well, let me thank you for helping set up the framework for a traditional open house, and then I can redirect and answer some of the questions coming in right now from the people watching who are asking them. As we've had a couple of people already on the show talk about how they're doing open houses and how they're doing them virtually. And like we said before, some MLSs are proactive or reactive, depending on how you want to look at it, by giving you the opportunity to put a Zoom link inside of an open house. And so inside the settings of your MLS, you'd be able to advertise and mention that there. A lot of other agents are also putting together safe showing systems, safe showing notices on how they're going to come into the house. And, we have some images on some of our other sites and some of our other episodes where they're like, we're going to make sure that they're wearing booties and nobody's touching the doors, and we're going to come in, and some of them are even actually asking the homeowner themselves to take out the cam and turn on the Facebook Live or turn on the Zoom and broadcast to this channel. And then the agents going in and doing a lot of the same work that they would have otherwise done to drive traffic to the open house, except they're driving it to a Zoom link or a Facebook page. And they're asking the homeowner to kind of remain silent, just be kind of the person who's steering but not saying, because homeowners want to say a lot about all the little things behind their house that probably aren't really relevant to the sales process, and they're letting the agent actually do the talking. So that's kind of a prearranged thing that the agent's asking the homeowner to do. And then from there, they're following up with all the people who registered for it. And I wanted to jump in and use your system, use your approach, your script, your follow-up script to let agents then know what to say and do afterwards. And so, yeah.
My script?
Yeah, no, yeah, your script, it was just
Our script is hey, Mrs. Bob, this is Alex Haigh, the XP Realty and the Haigh Group at the Treasure Coast. You visited our open house on Sunday, and I just wanted to thank you very much for that. Appreciate you stopping by. And I just wanted to know what kind of feedback that you might have on the house. Do you remember seeing it at all? Open-end question. And get them talking, and then, oh, okay, well, was this, and then basically you're going down the LP Mama, the Tom Ferry script, listing, price. So, location, listing. You're trying to figure out the area, the price. Okay, is this the price range that you're kind of looking in? A is agent. Do you have a commitment with another agent? I got that from Dirk Zeller. It's not, are you working with another agent? It's, do you have a commitment with another agent? Very different question. So what I'm saying is skills are so subtle, just asking a question like that. M is mortgage. Oh, okay, great. So you're in that price range. Are you going to be paying cash, or are you going to be getting a mortgage for this property? Open-ended question. Not, are you pre-approved? So, the next is appointment. So, hey, is there a time this week where you'd like to go out and see some more homes? And then the last, which you can juxtapose all of these in different places. The last one is M, motivation. So what kind of time frame do you see yourself purchasing in? Right. So you go through that LP Mama script. That's the script, LP Mama. So it's online. You guys can find it if you want a link or whatever. That's a great one to go by. And then if you want to create, and this is just old school stuff, you want to create, I try to keep it as simple as possible because it's easier to train under that. And, what Ford questions? Oh, okay. Hey, yeah, you had your family. Ford, family. Oh, occupation. Family. Oh, I saw your daughter there. Da, 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 da. Did you want to get them in the right school district? What grade are they in? Da, da, da. Let me send you a link to the school districts. Mm-hmm. Oh, occupation. Oh, you're retired. Okay, great. You were an engineer. My grandfather was an engineer. Back to what kind of engineering? Which school did you go to? R, recreation. Oh, I saw you had a Titleist hat on. Are you a golfer? Do you want to know where some good golf courses are? D, get into D, dreams. Get people talking about their dreams. Now you're onto something. Oh, I remember you were saying you saw yourself outside the pool there with the grandkids and a margarita in your hand. Won't that be, can you see yourself there? So you get them seeing themselves there. So those are the scripts. I keep it super simple. LP Mama, Ford, and that has everything in it that you can then put into your CRM so that you can remember, oh, they're an engineer that likes to golf and he sees himself retiring in 4 years. So I need to set a reminder for the next 3 months. He's not going to be buying for the next 4 years. But if I stay in front of him, I get him a search out that's relevant to listing, area, price. And so I have the search set up. And now we start to put that all together to you. Actually, that's a being of service. You're listening to somebody. You're asking them relevant questions, how you can help them. That's it.
That's awesome. That's exactly when we say knowing what to do and say. I feel like that's going to work under any and all conditions. You're not asking for a sale. Ford especially, it's just, maybe the Ford script is the perfect script right now for today's marketplace. We've been talking about sphere of influence heavily in the last, maybe this is episode 15 or 16. Maybe that's one of the best. And to everybody watching, as I've been saying, if you are on the email list for receiving the updates of these episodes, we're going to be emailing you out the collection of all the scripts, the best scripts mentioned on the episodes just like this from people like Alex. And if you're not on that list, just go to theredx.com/blog, wait for the pop-up, put your name on that email address, and we'll make sure you get a copy of that. And I'd love to ask one more question about open house because this is kind of gnawing away at my head, and I want to talk about sphere of influence with you. Have you seen anybody put out open house signs that have like a virtual link to them? Right now, the open house signs are open house, go to, this house, but maybe adapting open house signs to have we use short.cm to create little small, easy links like the redx.biz / ABC123. And so I'm wondering if you've seen anybody in your marketplace put out open house signs that direct to maybe an online open house Zoom meeting or something.
I haven't. Maybe I need to be watching more of the REDX podcast so that I can get more of these little tidbits that you guys are throwing out, because these are awesome nuggets.
Well, how about you go do that, and then you come back and we can talk about it.
Okay, perfect.
I'd love to hear more about that. Anyways, that was on the top of my mind. Is like, how do we adapt current things to new environments?
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of adapting to current environments, we started the show off with focusing the mindset away from trying to get the sale to focusing on what you can do for your customer and clients, not what they can do for you. JFK, right? For those who missed that quote. Sphere, and focusing on our sphere. I asked this question in every one of our shows, which is, why do you think now is quite possibly the best time for sphere of influence marketing?
Oh, I mean, I couldn't agree with that more. Because I think people are just looking to connect. I mean, first of all, they're in their house, so they have a lot more time on their hands, and they love to not be talking to their cat. So, if you call, they're going to be a lot more receptive. And if you ask the right questions and you really do care, and again, you're not asking the questions to be manipulative. If you have your core, I could bring down my core values over here. You first want to, and I want to get into this if we can at some point, of alignment, but which is a big thing of what, we talk about, what has helped me grow and will help you guys grow out there, especially in this. People looking for alignment, they're looking for to feel good. And so if you have your core value underlying is integrity, so you're truly looking to help them, that connection into sphere is you're really just trying to connect with them more. And they're receptive because they have time, they have more time, and they want to talk about how maybe scared they are or what's going on in their life or the da-da-da-da-da. And I think it gets down to my dad always said, look, you're not in real estate you got to be a lot of different things. You got to be a little bit of an attorney. You have to be a little bit of a psychologist. You have to be a little bit of a title expert. You have to be a little bit of a financial person. You have to be a little bit of a marriage counselor. You have to be a little bit of, there's a lot of things that you want to be mildly competent at so that you can, give. So I think that connecting with sphere is critical, and just being there to listen, being a good listener, asking good questions, and then truly actively listening.
Why don't we role play a little bit right now?
Mm-hmm.
Using, I guess, the Ford script. Would that be the script you would go to? I mean, I made the assumption that that's quite possibly the best script, but I'm not an expert on this. What I heard sounded great, but why don't you pick what sounds like the best script for right now, so that way the audience who's listening can then jump in here and listen. And just a shout out to Joe Rosen.
That guy.
Yeah,
I love that guy.
What up, Alex? He says Alex is a beast. He says you're a beast. All right.
How can you not love that guy? He's just his energy is infectiously awesome. So yeah, so I'm calling you. Way. No, not infectious. Yeah, infectious in a good way. We can't use that word anymore, man. Damn, another word gone. All right, so I'm calling you. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, Dan.
Yeah, this is Dan.
Hey, it's Alex Haigh. How are you?
Doing pretty good.
Good. Do you remember me? We met at my son's baseball game a couple of months back. We threw back a couple beers, and I don't know if you remember me or not.
Oh yeah. You enjoyed that Adams brew.
That's it. Yeah, man, the Boston Lager. That's my homeland. Good memory. Hey man, listen, I'm just calling up to just I'm in the real estate business, obviously, but I'm not calling to help you buy or sell. Really just kind of calling to see how people are and to connect with them out there in our community. And, ultimately, man, just to see if there's any way that I can help you one way, shape, or form. I don't have a pallet full of toilet paper, but there certainly are some things that we have resources around that I might be able to help you with, and just kind of seeing how things are going for you.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Being home and working remote, has given us a little bit of cabin fever, so it would be nice to get out and kind of go for a walk and spend some time away from the house.
Yeah, yeah, us. So I remember you saying you have a couple of daughters, right? So are they running around? What ages were they again?
14 and 16.
14 and 16. Well, at least they're not ankle biters, so they're kind of more. That's going to be kind of tough for them, huh? But at least I guess they have their phones, right?
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God for Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So you said I didn't. I guess I should have asked you more questions then, but you said working from home. So what business are you in?
I'm in the marketing business. I work at a company called REDX. We help agents achieve their dreams and goals by giving them clear systems and processes and tools.
Oh man, that sounds like a very timely business to be in.
Hey, sometimes you don't know what you're going to get into until you're there, and it was preparation all along.
Oh, did you just take out like an ad in the newspaper, or how did you end up with that gig?
Uh, Actually, like friendships and connections along the way for the last 10 years. I just knew the owners at the company, and, kind of like you called me, and we just started chatting, asked how I was doing, and we started talking a little bit more about what it would look like to work together. And so just kind of relationships over time.
That's awesome, man. Did you always work from home, or was this kind of like a as a result of this whole situation?
My dream was actually to work from home since ever and ever and ever. And so this this blessing has kind of become a curse a little bit because now I can't leave.
Well, hey, man, it's a blessing to have a job right now. There's certainly a lot of people out there that are in that situation. So I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we were at that baseball game. Did you? I forgot to ask you again. We were just throwing beers back. There's a lot of different people. We connected really briefly. Are you a golfer, or like do you play baseball? How did that happen?
Yeah, you got a good memory, actually. I love golf.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you had a swoosh hat on, so you never know. Somebody could just be a baseball fan or something like that. But I thought I saw a little bit of golf moves in you there. Where do you play?
Just the local driving range, mostly. Just kind of don't have a lot of time for hitting the links, but just keeping my swing practiced and ball going straight.
You get it to go straight?
That's the goal most of the time. Yeah.
Man, I need to take lessons from you then.
Yeah, it's not about power, it's about control.
I love that. Placement, not power, right?
Yep.
Love it, man. Love it. So when this whole thing is over, what are you going to be planning on going on vacations or something like that? Because when you finally do get out of the house, what's that going to look like, man? Are you just going to like run down the streets like screaming, or how's it going to look?
Funny you ask, is I'm probably like a lot of people. We had things planned that we were going to do that got delayed, and our dreams haven't stopped or ended because of this. They just feel like they're delayed. And so we had a trip planned to Thailand and some other vacations that I'd love to look back at and see where things are at in the next, hopefully, couple of weeks.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Well, I think we're all looking forward to getting back to something enjoyable, and that to going to Thailand sounds like super enjoyment. So, man, hey, listen, I don't want to take much more of your time, but I did want to ask you if a favor, if I could put you maybe on my email list. I do a monthly video, and usually we do kind of a market update, and we also do kind of like a special interest piece on what mortgage rates are doing and stuff like that. I swear to God, there's no spam in it or anything like that. Is that something that you think might be helpful or cool for you to check out?
Yeah, sounds good for me.
Cool. I appreciate you giving me your email address. So let me put that down. And hey, is there anything that I could do for you, honestly, man, like outside of real estate or anything? Is there anything I can do to help?
Let's see. If I think of something, I'll let you know.
Please. Yeah, I mean, we love to have people look at us as a resource. Again, not just to help buy or sell, but you need a painter or a plumber or title work. We know probate attorneys, and that you're gonna have any problems there. But like, if there's anything around any of those things that have to do with homes, we just want to be seen as a resource. So if there's anything I can do to help in that regard, please reach out.
Okay, yeah, definitely will. Thanks for reaching out and calling me.
Oh, absolutely, man. Well, I appreciate your time, and I'll stay in touch with you periodically. And again, if there's anything we can do to help, you let us know. And God bless you, man, and hope you and your family and your two daughters stay safe, and your wife. And we'll all get through this, man. I just wanted to honor you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Looking forward to talking again soon.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that was a great demonstration. That was the Ford script. I followed that along. I wanted to throw something out that Joe on our episode, for those who haven't seen his yet, we get into a little bit more detail on the networking and resource building. I think that when you talk about, hey, how can I help you? I think in Joe's episode, there's a lot of details that he goes into as to how he's asking the questions and actually trying to figure out. He's almost like qualifying the challenges they're having so he can go research them and be of value. And so if you haven't yet checked out, everybody watching this, and yet checked out Joe Rosen's episode, go to the page, go find that, because there's a lot of great meat on the bone to chew on there. So thanks, Joe. And we'll get a couple of more questions here. We're kind of coming to a wrap on things in the next 10 or 15 minutes. I don't want to leave. Looks like Lathi Kasim asks about for sale by owners, and he feels like he's been through some really uncomfortable follow-up conversations with them. And so if you have anything that helps you feel more comfortable, more confident in following up with FSBOs, that'd be a great answer for Mr. Kasim.
I would say, Mr. Kasim, go to Ford. There's some great scripts out there. I'm more of not a script. I'm more of building the relationship. Because to me, I'm a very much I believe in that we're all animals, and animals can sense fear or anxiety. And so if you can just be open and honest that, like, hey, you have two daughters, awesome. There are scripts of ultimately, hey, okay, where do you want to go? How would it feel like if you got there? I do believe, did you see what I did with the last one with dreams? Like, how is that going to feel? It's the same thing with the dreams. How's that going to feel when you sell your house? Where do you see yourself when you're selling your house? So those kind of questions that get people to feel. I would get to that. It's not manipulating them through this chess move down the board, although that is happening in a subtle way. There's a certain amount of science to chess, and there's a certain amount of art to chess. And I think the same thing is with the conversation. And I think that the art is that you're just asking really good questions that you're genuinely behind, because unless you're like Tom Cruise and you can mask your voice inflections, they're going to be able to hear behind the question of what you're asking on a script. So especially in the beginning, just ask a lot of questions. And Joe's show there, like, really asked really good, super qualifying questions. I just think the more questions that you can ask, the better. And then thinking of, like, how can I really help this person? Oh, okay, you're moving up there. Would you like me to help you find a good referral agent up there? Oh, your house needs to have the bark mulch done. I help you out. So just those questions, it's not, hey, how can I get you a market analysis on your property to help sell your property in the shortest period of time for the highest amount? Like, come on. Everybody else is doing that. Very few are coming from their heart and asking someone to feel. And if you can, that's what Ford is all about. You're getting, when they talk about their daughter, they open up. When they talk about their occupation, they might shut down a little bit. When they talk about their recreation, about golf, they're going to open up a little bit. Dreams, oh, we're going to Thailand. That's going to be awesome. So yeah, like, they got to sell the house to go to Thailand. So you want to figure that out and then go back to, hey, where are you going in Thailand? Are you going to Bangkok? Awesome. Are you going to a place that where the beach was filmed? Oh man, that's going to be beautiful. Right. Yeah. So that's what you're having the conversation around. It's nice and loose and easy. And, hopefully you understand what the market is doing, and you have some kind of tool that you can send them at the end of it. Hey, would it be helpful if I sent you right now what's sold in your neighborhood? Would that be helpful? How are they going to say no? You want to ask them a question of what they're not going to say no to. And you're sending them something of value. Not, and then if, hey, could I come over and check out the house? Sure. but I think it's just he might be. I think sometimes people make it much more difficult because they're looking for the magic script, and I'm just a little more organic with it. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing, but
I've got something that will probably sound good. Is the magic's not in the script; it's in the service.
Boom. There's your new tag phrase.
Yeah. So speaking of tag phrases, something similar in the marketing world, right? Words said on a page versus spoken over the phone. Pretty similar stuff. I recommend we'll be sharing the Ford script in the show notes and in the upcoming ebook / script video we're producing. But there's also something called feel, felt, and found as a formula for connecting with people through writing. And so you got to get people to feel what you're saying, then respond back with feeling felt, and then helping them feel found in the whole process. And I'm probably not doing the best, but it's another formula if you wanted to kind of, again, the magic isn't in the script, the magic is in the service, right? And the service is figuring out what works for you and the way it works for you. And so I'm just trying to give the audience some other references if they wanted to go build their own thing, or just go take what he said. Don't make it any more complicated than the Ford script.
Feel found is awesome, man. That's a great one. Hey, how would it feel if you were still in your house after 3 months? Oh, you'd have a lot of anxiety around that. Yeah, I would. I would have a lot of anxiety around that. I would feel the same way. That's the felt. And what I found was that if I priced my property properly, with the right marketing around it, it's going to sell for this amount of, and that's you identify with them. So you say, you feel that way, you feel scared. I had that same situation and I felt the same way. And what I found was that if I do this, then, don't watch the news, then I feel less anxious.
Why don't we play with that a little bit? Because I know it from the marketing side, but you know it from the real estate side. And so go at it one more time for the audience to get the kind of full, complete picture of it, because you jumped on that. I was like, whoa, I should have said that earlier. And so that's another approach that I feel like could be found here.
Yeah, I think that ultimately you want to get people talking about their feelings. And so that's where good questions come in. So if you didn't, you could get really, really acute with this. You could dance around with it, and this goes into skills. So the really blunt question would be, and depending on how graceful you ask it, is, so say you were still in your house 3 months from now. What would that feel like? That's a pretty direct question. And and a lot of people aren't going to ask that question because guess what? That's an uncomfortable question to ask. And what do people not do? They don't do things that are uncomfortable. So a lot of people might shy away from it. They're going to not even know the difference. And we can get into nuances of what's the difference between thought and feelings. Feelings are happy, sad, angry, scared. Happy, sad, angry, scared. And 3 of those are kind of anxious feelings. Happy is the one that most people want to think. So you want to get them to, I would be really happy if a little bit of the other side of the feel, felt, found, because you can't really say, well, you could. I haven't before been, tried to sell a house and not been able to sell it because I always price my properties properly. But anyways, you want to get them talking about that feeling. What's it going to feel like? Man, you have anxiety going on right now. Well, what's it going to feel like in 3 months from now if you haven't sold the property? And you can get them to really get in on that. And again, you're not doing it as a manipulative thing. You're trying to influence them to see that you do have something of value for them, but they think you're a sleazy salesperson, so they don't want to let you into their world. But if you can get in through feelings, you get people to start talking about feelings. So really just ask them, there's your script for you. If you were still in this house in 3 months from now, how would you feel about that? And then shut up. People don't, and then they're going to start to open up, or they're going to shut down. But you're not going to manipulate them out of, through some chess game of script. So I think you really just get into that and say, oh, okay, great. Yeah, that would be anxious. So what you're telling me is you'd really like to sell in a month and a half. And would that feel a lot better? I mean, you literally can ask questions like that. People are like, what? That's crazy talk. I'm like, I don't think so. I think if you can get people talking about their feelings one way, shape, or form, that's pretty powerful stuff. It's something that a lot of people don't do. I do it. I talk about, but I'll be like, you love your daughters, and I'll get into that kind of stuff. You do love your daughter, like your daughters. Like when we had our conversation, I was kind of saying they're ankle biters. Thank God for Facebook. I was identifying with your feeling of like, yeah, they're like, teenagers.
They can handle themselves while I work remote from home is kind of what was going through my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You love them, so you don't, they're safe, I guess. So that's another feeling. But
so you've done a great job of unpacking, I think, some of the key critical things agents need to know and do during these times. If we have time, at least one more question about some of the follow-up or communication methods that you use. Do you use text message at all? Yeah. How does text message play a role in your follow-up or lead generation?
After a phone call and they don't pick up.
Okay.
When you're leaving a message, because literally I had one today who's a listing of mine, and I would have eventually got through to her. I left a voicemail, but I called her and it went right to voicemail. A lot of people aren't picking up because they think it's a robo dialer if they don't recognize the number. And then you just text over, I just text over, hey, this is Alex. It's Alex Haigh here if they know me. I just wanted to reach out and just, see how you're doing, see if you're safe and healthy. And then they're like, call me right back. So you're not sending out, don't send out mass. You can, I'm not saying do or don't. What I'm saying is for me, I don't send out mass texts. I send a text after I make a phone call and just a follow up. It's that one. And then if you can get even a little bit of money out there, like I do bomb video texts, those are pretty powerful.
That's fantastic. What are some of the things you put in those videos?
It depends on who you are. You make sure you want to look into the lens, and just thank people. Thank you for their time. Just say, I was thinking about you. If you ask people, it's funny because people will remember videos from Facebook. They will remember video texts. It's something special. It's something that you went out of your way to do. And it's more of that you went out of your way to do something special for them, that you did a video for them. May sound cheesy, but how many people have sent you a personal video? It's like the new letter. I still do letters, handwritten notes. Because people I literally got a couple listings this year from somebody who goes, I can't believe you wrote me a handwritten note. That's what got me through the door. It's not what got me the listing, but it's what separated me in their mind from somebody else.
Was there anything special about the letter? Or was it just the fact that you put something in the mail and it had your name on it? And
something special in it. Each was, hey, it was nice chatting with you the other day. Here's some, marketing information on me. Just if there's anything we can do to help, let me know. I sent out this thing when I had some extra ones of it. I have one guy who I called for years. This is me and my daughter, our Christmas card. And I put that in notes out to people, and they had them up on their fridge. This one guy who's a multimillionaire and a cash buyer, and I've been following up with him for about 3 years, which he's like, you are the most tenacious guy I know. He's like, we're going to make a lot of money together. My point is, he's like, and you sent me that card with your daughter, and I have it up on my fridge.
I'd like to drop into that real quick. The last couple of minutes we have is that I don't have a very big family. And so it's not like I have dozens of cousins and all these people, photos I can hang on the wall. And so Haley doesn't know it and Curtis doesn't know it, but I've saved their wedding invitation card they sent me, and Curtis's Christmas card from before he had 6 kids, when I think he only had 4. And that's on our little like collection of family photos, because like we need positive faces and people we love surrounding ourselves with. And so just kind of like, well, why would someone even care about my family's Christmas card to you? You just never know. And so we're just like, we like these people and we want them in our house, and it represents a sense of connection that, you know, some people have small families. We have a small family.
Yes. It's a feeling. What separates you from somebody else is a feeling, is a connection. That's why video sets you apart, because A of all, it's special. And you guys know this word propinquity? You know that word, propinquity? It's a measurement of social interaction. Before there was language, people knew what this was. People knew what this was, whatever country you're in, right? And there's all these little pantomimes in the face. So that's why video is so important, because A of all, you take the extra time to do it, and B of all, people remember it. It's something subconscious in you know, deep in our psyche, which is, that's the stuff that interests me. But that's like, to understand it, I think, is important. Not just like, hey, do more video, everybody likes it. It's like, why do they like it? Yeah. And then you can kind of go, oh, maybe that's a good idea. That's maybe the way Alex does it.
You know, as a final thought for today, for those interested in propinquity, which can be also voice intonation, I imagine, when you're talking on the phone, as well as obviously visual, facial, body language. If somebody wanted to learn more about propinquity, where could they go? Where have you learned from? So that way they can follow up and take things to the next level.
I've always kind of just really I've done some stage stuff and acting and blah, 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 but you don't need to do that. Like, just be who you are. Like, don't try to be something else. And this is, so propinquity is just be who you are. And you're going to get better on video, more comfortable or whatever. Like, you know, I just, you know, you can go on, Google is a great source for everything in the world. But my ultimate point is that keep it simple, Ford, LP Mama, and just when you do video or whatever, just have the guts to do it. Just go, hey, I'm going to get through. Here's one of my last things is, if you feel yourself being uncomfortable about something, but you know it's the right thing to do, that's what discipline is to go through that next step, right? You guys, you know, first people say, I don't want a personal political prospect. I don't want a for sale by owner. I don't want it expired. You're uncomfortable because you're worried about a no. Like, but when if you didn't get on a bike after you fell off of it, you would have never learned how to ride a bike. And it's the same thing with prospecting. It's the same thing with circle prospecting, with for sale by owners, with expireds, with sphere, with leads, with There's no magic lead out there. There's no magic script. You can get better at it. And I think, to your point, what can you do about propinquity is just, you know, get a role play partner. Just say, hey, okay, we're going to each send each other one video a day. That comes down to accountability. We have that accountability on our team, and that I have other people that are, you know, not on my team, that are in my group, whatever. And we do accountability of like, hey, what are my gratitudes? So I think that is every day, just doing things that may be a little bit uncomfortable, maybe to just, you know, hold yourself accountable. And that might be, hey, I need to send one video a day. You're going to get better at it. You're going to do more of it, and it's going to matter.
That's awesome. If we had another hour, I would say now let's talk about routines and consistency, because that seems to be the superpower that unlocks every single top performer who showed up on this show. But unfortunately, we're out of time for that. If somebody's interested in that, I would say go back to Lars Hedenborg's podcast. I think he talks about routine pretty good as well. But Alex, why don't you stick with us after we end the show? We'll do a little post huddle on things. I just want to thank everybody who showed up today, who's watching live, taking notes, taking action, not sitting around waiting for things to happen, but looking to help how they can make things happen. And so whether it's Pat, Dan, Jerry, I'm just scrolling through here. Of course, Amanda, welcome back as always. All our fans and favorites. Catherine, Robert, Dan, everybody, we're so glad you showed up for the show today. Glad you guys asked questions. So excited to do tomorrow's episode. We've got two other fantastic guests lined up for the week. We got Saul Lerner, who, as Andrew behind the scenes says, is this just like adorable, high energy man who's got this energy that's going to rock your world. And then, of course, a fan favorite here internally, Racer Botkin from Tyler, Texas. Man, this guy, definitely tune in for Racer's show. And if you're not on the email list to get the make the announcements so you can catch these live episodes, please go to theredx.com/blog. But wait for the pop-up, put your name and information in there, and we're going to email you every time there's a new episode, as well as when, of course, the ebooks, scripts, and videos and other things we produce out of this show are available. So that's it for today. I'm your host, Justin Zimmerman, for the Stability and Opportunity Podcast, where we're helping you discover what you need to know and do during these times. See you tomorrow around the same time.